Happy Yuletide blessings, wicked witches. It is Christmas time. It's Christmas Eve here in my reality now. And then when this goes out, it will be, I think, the day after Boxing Day. And you'll all be full and satiated and lying around having that lovely, lazy, in-between liminal time between Christmas and New Year. And I love this time of year. It's my birthday week. My birthday's on New Year's Eve. And it's just such a disruptive, crazy time of year. And there's nothing else like it. You know, I'm very bar humbug towards the bar humbuggers because when else do we do this? When else do we stop and spend time with our family? You know, years could go by easily where you wouldn't do that. You know, you'd always be intending to, but you'd never get round to it. And just having this time of year that makes us stop and appreciate each other. And, you know, I'm telling you, there would be so many more people in the world being sad and full of regrets from having not seen their family, you know, before people passed away. And I know it does also make it hard when people have passed away. And I know this time of year is really difficult for people for lots of different reasons, because people do die at this time of year and people are sick and all of these things make it really difficult. And I totally appreciate that. But there would be a lot more people feeling sad and it would be any time of the year, if we didn't have this time annually where we stopped and connected with each other. Because people, and you know what it's like, you can suddenly go, oh my God, it's been 4 or 5 years since I've seen that person. And there's someone that you feel like is currently in your life and that you care about, but you just realise you haven't seen them for 5 years. Well, just imagine how easy it would be for that to be your family. And actually, I think probably family would be lower priority than a lot of friends. And your life's always full of people and you're always busy doing things. And family, I think, can easily be forgotten and left by the wayside. And so Christmas is an opportunity for you to stop and connect with those people and then not regret the fact you haven't seen them for 5, 6, 7, 8 years because time's gone by and you haven't connected. I'm sure people still, obviously people still do that, but I think there's less opportunity for that to happen when there is this annual feast and celebration of family and community and connection. So I'm a huge fan of it. I love it. And it is a big part of who I am as a person. And yeah, I am a Yule child and I'm born in this week of Saturnalia, which explains everything. I am a party girl. I am a feast of life, celebratory community, human beings, yum, 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 give it to me. I love it. I am Bacchus. I am part of that whole vibe. So I'm born of it and yeah, it runs through my veins. So I love this time of year and I have such a treat for you. I have a beautiful interview with my dear friend, Daisy Rickman. We talk about how we know each other in the chat. I also talked about it a bit last week. It is funny. She was my cleaner. It's insane, honestly. She's so magical and it just seems crazy that that's how we know each other. But she's had such a brilliant success this year with The Guardian at the beginning of the year, picking her up as being one of the top tips for the year. And so that's just flung her into a fame that I think she found quite surprising. I think we all have been like, whoa, wow, I didn't see that coming. She's so amazing and talented, but it's really left field what she's doing. It's extremely folky. And so I'm so excited for her because she's made mumming and folk and just being connected to your roots cool, in a younger generation. And it's just really good to see those things are the zeitgeist and are popular at the moment because they're all the things I care about and love. And I love them because I think they're so important for our survival for the future, for us to appreciate and love Mother Earth and to connect with each other and support each other and look after each other. I feel like that's where resilience lies. And so, and also it's just always fun when there's something that you've been into your whole life and suddenly it's become cool. And you're like, oh yeah, I was just waiting 40 years for this to happen, but finally it's come round. But it's this thing that seemed so uncool for the whole of the 80s and 90s and early noughties. But as people are kind of getting a bit more apocalyptic minded, like how do we, do you know how to light a fire? Do you know how to skin and eat an animal? Do you know how to, butcher an animal? Do you know how to grow crops? All of these things, I think especially in the pandemic, people really looked into a lot of these things. Okay, hang on, actually I don't know what I'm doing, and the stockpiling and all that kind of thing suddenly didn't seem quite as crazy as it did before. I don't mean that I think we should all be building bunkers and stockpiling, but I do think that in a way it's like, it's that kind of hedging your bets. It's not a bad thing at all to know how to butcher an animal or light a fire or make a shelter and, basic things like that. It doesn't hurt for you to know how to do those things. And the way in which one would find out how to do those things are always really fun. So it is doing things like a Tudor reenactment or a workshop, going and doing a foraging wildlife, what's it called when they rewilding, like a rewilding weekend where you learn primal basic skills that our ancestors would have all just known how to do easily, and it would have just been like the back of their hand. And it's why I love doing the Tudor reenactment and why Kentwell means so much to me. We all said it a couple of years ago. We all they just started the glass blower station and it was brilliant. And we'd done it before years ago, but he was doing it again. Tom Kirk, who's in one of my previous podcasts, and we were just all like aware of how there was an element of being smug at the fact that we all knew what we were doing. It was just like, we definitely picked the winning side here. This was for all of the mockery and effort, and it takes a lot of effort to make costumes and get the props and bits and bobs together and do the research to make sure that we're being authentic and correct to bring these Tudor reenactments together. They stopped calling us reenactors recently and started calling us historians, which is what we are. We're doing huge amounts of research and making sure that what we're doing is accurate and then presenting it to the public, but we're learning how to do all these skills. And we did get mocked. It was not a cool thing for me to be doing when I was at school, but it definitely is now a very cool thing to know how to do. and it's now become cool. And Daisy's right at the forefront of that wave of cool folk and, just people getting into earth-loving, nature-connected, like grassroots creativity. And, I'm so excited for her. So without further ado, I'd like you to be introduced to my dear friend, Daisy Rickman. Welcome, Daisy Rickman. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for joining me and thank you for agreeing to do this.
Oh, yeah, no, it's nice to be here.
So we met, what year do you reckon it was when we met?
Might have been like 2004.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
I can't remember when I was 14.
Because you were my cleaner, which is hilarious. When Scarlett met you on the pilgrimage and you came and played for us at the end of our pilgrimage, she went, that ethereal being was your cleaner.
God. Yeah. Oh,
that was really funny. And we didn't know each other, did we? I don't know how you saw the advert somewhere. Is that right?
yeah, I used to work just for a cleaning agency in Brighton, where you'd go to random houses. Yeah, I think through that.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And then we kept in contact, and where you live down in the West Country near Penzance, your kind of roots, isn't it? And do you feel very connected to the land down there?
Yeah. I think that when you grow up in a place, there's definitely points in life where you want to move away and live in places. But now I feel a real strong pull to be back down here. And I think that one of the main reasons for that is the connection I feel to the land, both spiritually and creatively. Being amongst that presence is a huge part of those processes.
Absolutely. I feel like it's really clear in the work that you create, which is beautiful artwork, which I've loved all the way along and have been buying your art as you've been going along. And then this year I was so proud and gobsmacked and happy that I saw you in The Guardian as the hot thing to watch this year with your music. It was so cool to see. How's it been? What's this year been like? It must have been pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. think the first album I made, I recorded the album before I performed my own music live. So, and yeah, I think it's taken me years to get used to just, yeah, getting used to performing live and sharing my music with people in that realm. 'Cause musically, I feel much more at home in the solitary land. But it's been
Yeah.
really amazing to like, I don't know, I never thought that I'd be able to sing in front for so many years. It feels really nice now when you have something creatively that you want to do, or not just creatively, but anything. It's, I guess, nice to go over those hurdles yourself. And, yeah, it's been, yeah, a really amazing year, and just feel really grateful that people are listening to music, are responding in such a, yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
feel really grateful.
I'm just loving seeing the folky mummery-ness coming out. It's become cool at last.
It's so mad.
It's-
But like parts of it, there's some parts of it where you see it kind of becoming trendy in some ways, and I'm like, I don't know how to put it. There's so many amazing people, such incredible work, folk realm. Like you said, it's mad. I think before, maybe like 10 years ago, it was like all of these, the whole folk world felt like, I don't know, there wasn't that many people that were interested in it. It's really nice. A lot of young people are turning to learn more about their own history, where they're from.
Yeah. It is a deepening understanding of the land, and that gives me hope because it's so easy to feel like we're screwed. And then something like this is happening where people are getting more interested in our folk traditions and our community
Yeah,
gatherings, and it's all connected to the land and the seasons and the natural world. And that just feels really exciting that people are caring about something like that.
I think since the lockdown, a lot of people were, yeah, I guess, I don't know, there was maybe people were suddenly in this place a bit more where were, because of how our perception of time changed and the pace of life slowed down for me. One of the good things that came out of the lockdown was just tuning in that rhythm of life, I guess. And yeah, it feels like since then a lot more people listening part of our existence.
Yeah,
So
big time. It's one of the things that's come up quite a lot in the podcast, actually, is people talking about how much we don't want to go back to how things were, and that rest is revolutionary, rest is important, and that we need to slow down. Because obviously, the slower you are, the less you're consuming as well. And it's actually just really important to change the tempo because it wasn't a healthy way of being. Do you
yeah,
miss Brighton?
yeah, I do really miss. I still have a lot of friends that live there though, so I visit there a lot and do
Mm.
shows there. And same with London and Berlin. And I think, yeah, that's why I quite like being in Cornwall. The general pace of
Mm.
life down here is a lot slower, so it feels a lot easier to be in that slower pace.
Yeah.
For big distance.
You're living right on the energy lines that I walked, and that was the last time I saw you at the pilgrimage, which was
Yeah.
so magical. We were at Kenmare Bowl, where the lines go into the sea, not far from Penzance and around your area. There was a seal who had her pup, so we had to be really quiet. We did a really quiet performance of the Mummers play whilst you played the cello, and there was your friends with the drum, and then we had the fire spinning and fire torches lighting it. It was so lovely doing a really quiet performance so that we didn't disturb the seal.
Yeah, no, it was really,
It was
yeah, that
magic.
up the coast also. Well, all of the coast,
Mm.
especially that part, I think is one of my favorite parts of the coast or the land.
Do you know much about the energy lines, the Michael and Mary lines?
I know a bit. I was sad I couldn't do the walk. Uh,
Doing it again next year, by the way.
Oh,
We'll be starting in September from Kenmare Bowl, and we'll be walking towards the Norfolk coast. So if you wanted to join for some of it, you should
oh
come and do
wow.
a little bit of it
Yeah,
if
I
you
would
wanted
love
to.
yeah,
Yeah, that would be great.
um, yeah. No, I kind of I'd like to learn more about the light, and I have some friends who've done similar kind of pilgrimages from St. Michael's Mount up through the
Mm.
lines. And then there's all dragon lines that run through. I think
Yeah.
still a delve deeper in.
And what's been the biggest thing that's changed since things have taken off? Do you feel, because it's one of those things that, and this was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, holding a ceremony and doing something to celebrate where you're at and what you've achieved. How does it feel? Do you feel like you've got somewhere, or do you feel like you haven't? How do you feel about what's
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah, I definitely feel, think I wasn't really expecting, I guess when I made the first album, I didn't really think many people listened to it. I was just releasing it independently. I was really surprised that it managed to reach people outside of my sphere of friends. I feel like I'm still learning how to balance, because I do the painting as well. I think I'm still learning how to balance those two big parts of my soul. They kind of feel like two fires that you're trying to keep alight and keep
Mm.
burning. And yeah, I've been putting a lot more energy in music. It's felt really, and also a bit overwhelming. I'm not naturally a performer, so trying to figure out how to still share my music with people live. But if you're quite a shy person, like being on stage much. But it's been good. 'Cause I guess trying to kind of learn and practice how to hold yourself within that space and still try and kind of channel and express what you want within the music sharing. No, if that makes sense.
No, I've trained in fooling all my life. Well, since I was 20. The fool is the most direct lineage from the shaman. It's the least well known of the art forms, but it's probably the first ever art form. My theory about all creativity is that we would have safe spaces, these caves, where we would paint on the walls, and the paintings were like the first ever, earliest paintings we've ever found are people blowing ochre over their hands. And so they are literally leaving their handprint. You can put your hand on their hand, touch hands with someone from 200,000 years ago. You know, it's crazy that you're crossing time like that. There's a way of immortalizing yourself. But then also within these safe spaces, they had really good acoustics. I believe we would hold the space, and people who'd survived death, we wanted to know how they'd done it. We didn't really have much language. It was early days, and so there wasn't many words in existence. But what we would do is the person who'd survived death would try and express it. And we would even find that as a healing thing. So it was like, tell us how you survived death, but also just by witnessing you try and express it, we're somehow getting a healing from as well. But then also when you're being observed, like there's this scientific experiment where you observe particles being shot through these slits. When they're not being observed, they behave differently to when they're being observed. They change from shooting directly into becoming waves. So they showed that particles behave differently when they're being observed, basically. And there's something about a human where as soon as you know that you're being watched, like actually properly, you know, people watch us all the time just in the street, they'll see us, but there's difference between being seen and being watched. And that
Mhm.
when you're in that audience place where there's an audience watching you, every atom in your body suddenly vibrates like crazy. And it's the adrenaline and it feels crazy. I think we created these safe spaces to witness each other and hold that space so we could learn to deal with that, so that when we were out in a fight or flight situation, fighting a saber-toothed tiger or in some kind of
Yeah,
dangerous
yeah.
situation, we were able to slow down. I've
Mm.
found from doing the fooling all these years, like I was in a car once when the driver lost control, and all the girls in the car with me started screaming, making the driver get even more out of control. And because I was used to dealing with adrenaline, I calmed the driver down and I was able to stay calm. I
Yeah,
feel like it was almost like a martial art for the inner world that we created art as
yeah,
a way of doing.
yeah. It kind of feels really good to put yourself in those situations where you do feel out of your comfort zone and out of depth, and you really have.
Mm.
I think with music as well, it's like trying to, I think it depends what kind of music you're making and performing. think trying to still access that place, because it feels like, say if you're at home and you're playing or recording and you reach these real states of like you're connecting with something other than yourself or the divine source. I think trying to access that, you can still access that live, but I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. Because, like you said, when you're in front of people, a completely different environment.
It's a skill that takes years of practice, and sometimes you manage it and sometimes you don't. As a theatre performer, my friend Jonathan Kay, the guy who taught me fooling, he's like, if you're going to demonstrate, which is the word he calls for when you're not connected to what I would call, and what he would call, the archetypes. So when you're channeling the archetypal realm, that divine thing, it's magic, and it does happen on the stage, but it's about working. That takes work, it takes time,
Yeah,
and it's a lot to do with giving up your inner criticism.
yeah,
But he's always like, if you're going to demonstrate, which is doing it without, then just do it really well. So, like, if you're going to be demonstrating, demonstrate well. That's where you've got the practice and you're going for it. There will be moments, a point where you will just suddenly be doing it on the stage. It's a bit like collective yoga and collective ceremony. I love doing it on my own. I'm a bit of a recluse as well. I'm definitely a louder person than you, but but I still prefer doing things on my own. But when you do something in a big group, when it hits the spot, it's amazing, and it is way more powerful. Having that moment where you do channel the divine and the archetype with other people there, that's going to be amazing. I feel like that's a
yeah,
mind-blowing moment,
yeah. And I
especially
think,
because your music is very rich in archetypes. So it will just feel like, I don't know, spiritual experience, I think.
yeah, it feels like, and when you reach those places musically with other people, that's one of the most beautiful and powerful experiences you can experience, or that I feel I've experienced in life. And that's why I love playing with my band. Well, it's been really amazing playing with the band a lot more this year, because doing that is such a different experience live to when I perform on my own solo.
Dad's been playing with you as well, eh? I've been seeing your dad's in there.
Yeah, he played with us at the minute, which is, yeah, I love,
That looked amazing. How was that gig? Wow, the Minac of all places. But that was
yeah,
special.
that was really, I think it's definitely one of the most powerful places I've ever played. I think
Mm.
just generally as a performer, it's an incredible place to be and to perform, but especially that part of the coast has had such a huge impact on my music and my life and creativity. So then being able to, a lot of the songs that we performed were written about that coastline or the sea there. So it felt really incredible to share it in that space. Something we've started doing now is a way of helping to overcome feeling really nervous or trying to step into your power when you are in those places. That I wanted to start the set, perform like doing I guess like an invitation in music to, welcome in that energy and that place that grounds the music and ourselves in a,
Mm.
I don't know, so not I explain.
No, that makes total sense. We
Yeah,
do that in Fooling. Within the structure of Fooling, the archetypal realm is the back of the stage. In Greek theatre, that's where the people spoke as the gods. And from that archetypal place, you move much slower and you connect into this deep source. It's a really deep place. And so what I hear from what you're saying is you made sure you started from an archetypal space so that you were fully connected when you then started to perform. The other place is like front of the stage, chatty, putting people at ease, being all chatty, but you were coming from the back and it was like, no, I'm coming with the presence and the depth
yeah.
and the weight, which makes total sense for you to do that because you are very archetypal. So that feels like the right way for you.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a huge, like the speaking and playing. I think for a long time I felt like pressure, like I had to. I'm not naturally very good at that because I changed tuning so much. That was always something playing on my own where I guess if you feel like you have to. For a while I thought like, oh, why can't I just speak to people and be myself. But then I realized you don't have to
No.
do that, and you don't have to if you don't naturally feel like, I don't know.
Audiences can see everything. They can see what kind of person you are, and they're drawn to you. If they're at the gig, they're drawn to who you are. I feel like less is more. The world has changed. It used to be that you would have been able to just make music and sell albums and that would have been enough, but that's not the way the music industry works anymore. To make money, you've got to tour and you've got to perform. But loads of musicians, 20 years ago didn't like touring and never went on tour. So you've
Yeah.
kind of been forced to do this thing because that's the way it now works. But I do think it is good in terms of what you're saying, crossing these hurdles and challenging yourself. Like, I think it's a good thing to do, but I
Yeah.
don't think you have to, when you're out there doing it, force yourself to do anything you don't want to do or don't feel comfortable with, because people already can see that you're a more shy and quieter person. So it feels in keeping if you're just saying the odd little thing. Like, everyone just wants to see you and hear you sing. You can
Yeah.
be yourself.
One of the focus music. I feel really grateful that people like the music.
I loved seeing that you did the Willow song because that was my wedding march song.
Really?
Yeah. My friend Grace played it live and came in with that to the wedding.
Wow. Wow.
It was lovely. Right, we're going to
Yeah.
do the cards then, and we'll see what the universe wants us to talk about. Interested to see. And I love this because it's just letting the universe lead. We'll see what the universe wants us to talk about. So you tell me when to stop. I'm going to go this way. You say stop. So this is the Ace of Discs. If you look at that, it's a beautiful,
Wow.
beautiful symbol. And the Ace of Discs is about, it's like the epitome, I always think it's kind of the right word, of the suit, the sign. And so this is discs, which is earth. So I suppose like what I would see in that is, what does earth mean to you? The land. I mean, we've talked about it a bit, but what is the land, and how does it inspire you? How's your connection to that? You were saying that these songs have been inspired by the land. How does that feel like that relationship happens?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the land has a huge impact on my work. One of the reasons I moved back to Cornwall was because I really wanted to, I guess as well, when you're away touring a lot and traveling in that kind of more extroverted rhythm of being, I really wanted to come back here and just ground myself within the land. I'm working on a new album and there's some series of paintings focused around that, like grounding yourself within, or myself within the land here in Penwith. And definitely, yeah, within that as well, just both doing that work creatively, but as well physically within the land, going to the land, doing ceremonies, walking, being present within that. I feel a lot grounded within that. In Penwith, it's right at the end of the land. So it's like such a powerful place here, and like a really potent place as well in terms of the energy.
Have you
Yeah.
heard of Yoiks? Do you know Yoiks? The Sami
No,
people who are the shamans
yeah.
up in the north of Europe.
Yeah, I know about the Sami, but not what are the.
So Yoiks is their songs. So they sing kind of with the land. And if you were to hear them do like a fox yoik, you'd kind of be able to tell, like you can often guess what it is, like the wind or something like that. And then each person as well, when the baby's gestating, a yoik will come to the mother and they'll sing it all the way through pregnancy. And then while they're giving birth, everyone will sing it whilst the baby's being born. If you're away on tour, they'll be like, "Oh, I miss Daisy," and everyone will sing the Daisy yoik while you're away and like be kind of missing you.
Yeah,
But your music does remind me of that. It feels like you're like a Cornish yoik and that you're singing the land and that you've got these songs that feel connected. Do you feel like, how do they come to you? Do you feel like they are coming through from a channeling way?
Yeah, I think some more than others. I definitely feel that when I'm recording at home on my own. Sometimes a song will come from the ether, they form in that way, but I think a lot of my music does come from, I guess, trying to be in a place where I feel connected to that force and energy. And then I think if I'm recording as well, there'll be some pieces where if I listen back to it, I can really hear that kind of communication, that force, if that makes sense. And it's hard to put it into words. So I think that's why I like recording at home a lot, is because I'm able to commune with that.
Yeah. Like you're
other-
capturing something. Like you listen back and you're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I captured it.
Yeah, I guess. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely like find writing songs. I think using words isn't my strong, or it's something creatively that I still don't feel very confident in.
Mm.
Whereas, yeah, musically, I guess when those moments do happen, it's really magic, because you feel like, yeah, able to capture being able to capture something that feels very hard to describe.
Which is what art's all about. You know, it's
Yeah.
metaphysical. It's this thing that isn't, I mean, if you were going to use words, it would be poetry or something more beautiful than just conversation, something other than that. And I wanted to ask you about the folk, like the kind of mummers stuff. Like you're involved in some of the parades and things round your way, aren't you? Seems like you're always out with them. What's your connection to that?
Yeah, we do a lot for the winter solstice. There's the Montauk Festival that happens here on the solstice, where people dance around the town. We're not an official guild. I think we try and keep it more under the...
You're an underground guild. Underground mummers.
Yeah. But that's, it's one of the most incredible, or one of my favorite nights of the year, seeing other people celebrating the solstice and the sun. Last year got a lot more musicians together. Yeah, the solstice, and then at Beltane there's the May Boys, which is not as big as the Montauk Festival, again, where people, a bit like Jack in the Green or the other Beltane festivals, gather, and it feels like Penzance has a really strong community of people keeping those traditions alive. I think it's really important for the younger generation, especially in smaller places, to keep these traditions going. And
brings people out, doesn't it? It brings people out and they share in something together. It connects you to the seasons and it makes you pay attention to the outside world. It brings people together in ways that you just wouldn't ever do otherwise. So I feel like they're really special, important things to do.
I think so. Last year, they were worried they wasn't going to be able to happen again because of funding, but they did a big fundraiser to keep it going.
That's really good.
And
that's the sort of thing that the Arts Council should be funding, right? Rather than the Royal Opera House. They should be totally funding the People's Theatre, you know. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider supporting me at patreon.com/Jolie Rose. I have some exciting things coming up that I would love to share with you. I'm taking a break from the podcast over January and February to honour my need for downtime and submerge myself in a yummy creative process. But you're welcome to come and join me in the darkness. We'll embrace the depths of winter by delving into our creativity with Creation Hibernation, a unique writing series designed to align with the lunar cycles and inspire your imagination. So Monday nights, starting with the Capricorn Dark Moon on Monday the 30th December, we'll be doing alternating writing sessions. So if you join me on the 30th for the Dark Moon, we will set our intentions, and using that amazing Capricorn climbing a mountain goat energy and very serious going to get this done Capricorn energy, we will set our intentions for what we want to write and begin a creative process for 2 weeks, So the next Monday, we'll meet up and we'll just sit in silence and write together in a focused, supportive space. And then the week after that will be the full moon. And so then we'll check in and we'll talk about what we've done and kind of where we're at and what our ideas are, how our ideas are brewing and bubbling. And then we will write again the next week together in a silent space. And then the week after will be a dark moon again. And so we'll do that. It'll be 8 weeks in total. And we'll be doing that over January and February. So I'd love it if you're up for joining me. The recordings of the workshops will be available, so if you're ever not able to make it for the Monday, that doesn't matter. The workshops are free to anyone who's on the little bit extra tier on Patreon, and that means that the sessions work out as being £2.25 per session. So that might be something that you all think about doing, is signing up for the Patreon. If you sign up for the top tier, a little bit extra, it's £9 a month, and you could just do it for these 2 months and it means that you get the sessions for £2.25. But if you were to continue being a supporter beyond the January, February writing period, then you also get the videos of the podcasts. So you get to see the people that I'm talking to and interviewing, and the ones I do on my own, you'll see me chatting away, quite often in a onesie, but I sometimes make an effort. I've made an effort today. And and there's other little bits and extra things that go on there that I'll share with, the little bit extra supporters. If you're just wanting to do the writing session and you don't want to sign up for Patreon, then it's £25 for the full 8 sessions or £5 per session for drop-in. So if you do the £25 for the 8 sessions, it works out a bit cheaper than if you're just doing drop-ins. But obviously, if you think you can only do 1 or 2, then you might want to do it as a drop-in. If you want to sign up, then please email me at nonsenseinthechaos@gmail.com and I'll send you the registration form. So yeah, let the energy of the moon guide your creativity this winter, whether you're exploring a new idea or nurturing a work in progress. Creation Hibernation offers a chance to connect with yourself, your craft, and your creative immersive potential in the deep winter months. So reserve your place now and begin the new year feeling refreshed and inspired. Oh, my cat came to say hello. Hello, Solstice. Oh, perfectly timed. It's my all black cat Solstice saying, I can smell the turkey cooking and it smells delicious, which it does. Now on with the show. So let's do another one. You tell me when to stop. Do you want this end one?
Yeah, I think that was a bit.
Yeah. So that is a really beautiful.
Wow.
This beautiful. So it's the Queen of Cups, and she's staring into this inner world. And this is the archetypal world from the spirit world. Your music does feel extremely spiritual, or has spirit in it in some way, this archetypal energy. What does that mean to you? What's your connection with that? How do you feel about all of that?
Do you mean with the spirit?
Yeah, like what is it to you? What is this inner world to you?
Yeah, I guess like it feels like one of the most precious things we have as creatives is like our connection to that realm, both within inside ourselves and externally in the spiritual world. Yeah, at the moment I'm really trying to nurture that place inside myself and creatively. 'Cause I think you can very easily get, I don't know, you have to exist in the modern thing that
Nonsense.
always trying to return to that. And sometimes I find it quite difficult, really trying to keep a strong, just staying present within that place inside of yourself creatively that allows you to connect to other realms and spiritually. I think everyone has a different way of doing that. It's such a powerful and inspiring thing to witness. I don't know, see or hear someone's that inner world that they have been able to translate in piece of art or music. It's such a sacred thing that you have to nurture and take care of, because you can easily feel like you lose touch with that part of yourself sometimes, not just creating, but through, practicing your craft, keeping that keeping communication to
Practice.
like in other forms of spirituality or it's like yoga and meditation is something like that I'm trying to keep nurturing.
I heard something once which I thought was really powerful was that genius is in ancient Greece, they used to see genius as as spirit. It was a divine thing that chose to use you, or they used to describe it like a horse, like it would come and ride you. But your job, therefore, wasn't about being a genius. Your job was to turn up every day and do the work. So that would be practicing the instrument, practicing your voice, practicing your writing, whatever it is. And if genius chooses to come and ride you, then you're ready and you're present. Whereas if you are just lost in drinking and doing a job that you hate and not paying any attention, then it might come and ride you and you wouldn't even notice. You might get a bit of a poem in your head, but you don't bother writing it down and then get distracted looking at TikTok and then it's gone. So
Yeah.
it's doing that thing where you're at least priming yourself and making yourself available and ready for genius to come and land. It takes the pressure off, because if you never do get ridden and it never turns into anything, you did your bit of the bargain. It's not your fault if they didn't choose to come and ride you.
That's interesting, especially with painting. Sometimes you're playing and it does feel like something does come down from the ether, or you draw. I don't know, you might spend a week trying to paint something and then in the end of that week you still hate it, or it's not working. You might draw something in like 10 minutes and it just works. And what's beautiful about creating art is,
There's always this extra component where it doesn't turn out how you imagine it. So there's always this excitement of, oh, it turned out like this. That's not at all what I imagined.
yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So we'll do another card. You tell me when to stop. If I'm getting the one that you want, but okay, this one's exciting. This is the devil. The devil is about where you are limiting yourself in the physical world. The devil is the master of the material world, like greed and debauchery, but it stops you from reaching this place. It's about what blocks you, like what's your devil on your shoulder that stops you from being free and accessing the place that you want to get to. What do you feel about that? How's the outer world a bit of a bugger for you?
Yes. Everyone has their own relationship with things like with the music world. When you're doing gigs, you're technically working, but a lot of the time you're in a venue or a pub and you like drinking. It's very hard to not lose yourself like in that side of the music world.
Are you someone who needs to drink before you go on stage, or do you prefer to be sober?
I like it sometimes, but I don't like drinking too much because there's a fine line between it being good and then you can getting high or smoking hash when I'm recording sometimes. But then doing that live as well, I've had now I try and I guess with alcohol it kind of calms your nerves a bit. Now I usually only have one or two if I'm gonna drink. More so if I'm doing it with the band.
Less pressure. Because it is a worry about people getting more success, and especially if you are a more introverted person, that sometimes people can use alcohol as a crutch. That's one of the drawbacks to success. People can lose themselves in exactly what you're saying, like being out late at night, drinking, clubbing culture. I work in a pub and I live on this island and there's nothing to do. Drink is just what everyone does. I'd say it is the devil more than anything else.
Yeah. Especially in smaller town,
Yeah, you must have it down there as well. Like, it's just so prevalent, isn't it?
It's a big part of my relationship is all of that is done. Yeah. As long as you know when you need to have a break or a bit, if I can feel like it's starting to like work, then I need to break. It's harder in music, because you're around it constantly.
You don't feel like it's that strong a crutch. It's just something you can take on.
I'm trying to do November sober,
Yeah.
which is going fine, but I like drinking and I enjoy being
Yeah.
out with people and stuff. So I guess it's just keeping a balance. I'm trying to think of what else. I haven't poured the devil in a long time.
Yeah.
I think when you're drinking a lot as well, you're like I don't know if ambition is the right word. I don't know. It's good to have a break from it because I feel a lot more focused and less distracted by going out and seeing what's to do, which means I'll focus more on building up.
It is a balance though, isn't it? Because ambition's almost a devil as well. You could be just doing that and forget to see your friends and forget about the people that you care about. And so it is a balance.
What did you say the card represents?
It's because he's the master of the sensual world, really. Not because sensual is a good thing as well, but the distractions. So it would be spending all day scrolling or anything that distracts you from your higher purpose. You could be sitting there writing some music, meditating, reading a book, or walking in nature and connecting to something deeper. And he's the one that's there going, "Oh, watch that Netflix series. Let's just scroll this thing. Let's get drunk. Let's, distractions, basically."
I guess for everyone, its own, it's one of the biggest distractions. And that's actually where I quite like in my new house at the moment. We don't have Wi-Fi there yet.
Yeah, I thought that maybe that was on purpose.
Well, that's I've been trying to. I need to, find a good deal. But I'm actually quite like not having, Wi-Fi and the phone. I would like to just go have a month where I don't have my phone for it, or at least deleting things like Instagram or just the social media stuff and not be on
I do that every January, normally till Easter. I manage it now, but I call it a digital detox. In January, I delete Instagram and Facebook from my phone and I only use it on the computer, and it's because of, a marketing reason or whatever. And I just stop myself from all of the, I'll still have a messenger and things so people can get in touch with me, but it gets rid of all of the doom scrolling. I feel like it's changed our brains so much. It feels exhausting. I don't know how anyone's going to learn instruments in the next generation. They're just going to watch TikTok videos of people from the older generation.
I feel like I was lucky for my generation. We kind of still had a period of childhood where there was no social media. Things like Bebo and MySpace were the first. There must have been 30. It's crazy now seeing the effects it has on my brain or an adult's brain. And then thinking, it's going to, seeing within the art or creative realm how younger people's brains are going to develop such a way. Even with things like reading, so many books that I'm wanting to read or reading at the moment. Sit down to read.
I can't read. I did English literature at university and I had to read 6 books a week, and I can't read a book now. I listen to it on Audible while I'm doing something else, but I can't sit and read a book. Maybe one page before I go to bed every few days if I'm not looking at my phone. So it's crazy. It has had such a massive effect, and I would swap it out. I know it's impossible now really because everything's so tangled together, but I think quite a lot of people, if you were given the choice and it could never have been invented, I think there's quite a large amount of people who would go, yep, let's press the rewind button on that one.
Next year, going to do that. It's really good.
My mental health benefits from it hugely. I find it mentally exhausting. The whole social media thing kills me. But it's important for artists, and especially artists living in the middle of nowhere. You kind of need to be actively doing stuff and showing what you're doing. And so it is a really useful platform for the podcast and all these things. I kind of need to be promoting it and pushing what I'm doing. It is brilliant for that, but it's accessing it without then scrolling and getting lost in it. The next thing you find 2 hours later, you're still there looking at it. And
that's the thing when you're using it for work, like with things like Instagram and stuff. It's a really good tool, connect with people and share what you're doing. yeah, and especially if you live in more of a rural place, but then because it's that realm mixed with, all of the other aspects of social media, and it's a tricky one to figure out how to use to help them. It can be hard to separate them both without them, because then you just instantly get sucked in shit.
Mm.
What? Yeah, I guess just trying to figure out how to. I guess it's like a tool that we're all trying to figure out how to use.
Yeah.
Or like most of it.
Yeah,
So
totally. All of it. It
crazy.
just feels like we're all kind of going, oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's all got a bit out of control. So the last thing I wanted to ask you then is the Chaos Crusades. Is there something that you would recommend people to do that will connect them a bit deeper and kind of distract them from the devil of alcohol and internet?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that I like doing as an artist. I've always liked doing it, but I'm trying to do it more regularly now. Is trying to draw a picture with your opposite hand, or just practice using my other hand for things I would usually use my right hand. I think, especially with drawing, I really love the way you use your other hand. Interesting things come out. Even like,
It's something I love, being less precious about things. I had a friend who was an artist, and he would get us to come and do events with him. He'd always tape paintbrushes to the end of walking sticks and make us paint from a really far distance away. It just stops you from trying to do it well, and you just sort of slap it on and just go for it. That was really freeing. So yeah, I could imagine that drawing with your left hand suddenly just frees things up because you're not going to get it perfect. So let something else happen instead.
yeah, and it feels like a good practice for your brain. No,
Like the
yeah,
plasticity.
yeah, that,
Yeah, that thing.
yeah. And also drawing with your eyes closed. I really love doing that as well. Because it feels very meditative, like some form of meditation, kind of like automatic. I've been trying to do that more. I even tried brushing my left hand, and you just notice how much more. This is what it's doing.
So this is hard.
Yeah. Toothpaste.
It's really good because that's the point of this podcast. For there to be hope and possibility for the future, we need to start embracing the unknown, to just not have fear about the unknown. That's why the Chaos Crusade, because it's like, how can we challenge ourselves to do stuff that isn't comfortable and that isn't normal, so that we get comfortable with things that are mysterious and unknown to us, because we are required, for us to survive, to completely change how we are and how we're living. And it feels like we could have done a gentler journey into that if we'd started a lot earlier with changing the way that we're doing things, because we are continuously leaving it to the last minute. It's going to be quite a big set of brakes that we put on. And so you got to be prepared. The more we can just relax with, oh yeah, I'll be fine. I can do this. I can try that. I'm used to being in fearful spaces or challenging myself. We're incredibly resilient and capable of so much. But part of it is to not just be blindly, comfortably, devil run, just like bumbling along without thinking about what we're doing the whole time. Fluff us up and flip the script and just change things. It means that we're a bit more ready for whatever comes, because we've got no idea what that's going to look like. And so what have you got next? What's happening for you? Are you getting a bit of time out now?
Yeah, I mean, I've still got some gigs till the end of the year. But I'm mostly just back home now. I'm just trying to focus on painting the next couple of months. Or painting, and just looking forward to winter.
Stopping.
Being more of a slowing down, being more present within that rhythm of winter.
I love it now. I used to hate it, but I love it now so much. It's such an important part of the year.
I can't wait till autumn comes.
I was totally saying that a few months ago. I was like, God, I can't wait. Just make it stop.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
for doing this. I really appreciate it. That was brilliant. And good luck with everything
Yeah.
you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. Lots of love, my darling.
More than love.
That was the gorgeous Daisy Rickman. What an absolute joy it was to talk to her. She's such a kind, gentle spirit. She has, like my partner Dizzle, she has a touch of fae about her. And yeah, it feels like when a butterfly lands next to you and or a bird and it doesn't flutter away immediately and you sort of feel like you have to hold your breath and hold yourself still so as not to startle them and that it feels like an honour and a privilege to be in that presence for a little while. And yeah, she has that energy about her. I really enjoy spending time with Daisy. She's really fun. She's a very kind, lovely being, and her music's stunning. So I will be sharing a link, obviously, to her music so that you can listen to her. Her artwork is stunning as well. So definitely visit her website, daisyrickman.com. And the albums, when she does the vinyl release, are, I would say, collector's items. She's, it's only been 1 year of the Guardian recommending her, and yeah, her records are selling out fast, so get on it. I really wanted to get a record for my brother for Christmas and I wasn't able to because they sold out so quickly. Just get on a newsletter, mailing list, and get these records, because in 10, 20 years time I think they're going to be collector's items. So well done, Daisy. Very proud of you. You're an amazing, inspiring, beautiful lady, and I'm so chuffed that everything's gone as wonderfully for you as it has done this year, and may it continue. So 2025, we have one more podcast left. I did say that there were only 2 left. I was lying. You've got a surprise, extra, sneaky, magical one, which is my birthday podcast. So I'll be making a podcast next week and really delving into 2025 and what that means, and just supporting you with setting your intentions and stepping into this next year with aplomb, because there's a lot going on astrologically and politically and I think spiritually, and it's all to play for. So let's play big. So thank you ever so much for having been with me on this journey. I've really enjoyed making this podcast, and this is just season 1. I'll be returning with season 2, and I've got some exciting people lined up who I can't wait to talk to and share their worlds and insights with you. So stay tuned, keep following. It will only be 2 months and then it will go before you know it, and then I'll be back at the beginning of March. Thank you for supporting me. Huge love, and I shall see thee anon.